What did you really think after Season 5, Episode 1, The Crawl? Was Will just a scared hostage in that upside-down library? Or Vecna's first patient on the operating table? Because Season 5 doesn't just open with horror, it opens with surgery. In that nest, Will isn't just being tortured. He's strapped onto Vecna's table while a living vine installs something inside him. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what Vecna did to Will that night and how the crawl quietly rewires the entire show. We see the Demogorgon drag him into the nest, but this time, the camera lingers. Will is hanging there, completely helpless, while a living vine crawls into his mouth. It plugs him into a pulsing mass on the wall. Not just smoke, not just mind flayer particles. Inside that vine, we see clumps of organic matter sliding through it, almost like eggs or larvae. It looks less like magic and more like a procedure. Like Vecna is installing something into Will. Back in Season 1, all we saw was a single slug coming out of Will. Creepy, sure, but vague. Now, Season 5 shows us the full process behind that moment. How the connection between Will and the Upside Down was planted, grown, and kept alive. And this fits what the Duffers planned from the very beginning. In their original Montauk pitch, they didn't just want a big scary monster. They wanted a super intelligent presence on the other side. Something closer to Pennywise or Freddy Krueger than a mindless beast. Season 5 finally says it out loud. Vecna wasn't just lurking in the background. That night in the library, he was making his first big move. Will Byers wasn't just a hostage. He was Vecna's first patient. And Season 5 finally treats that like what it really is. A loaded gun that's been sitting in the story since Episode 1. And from this point on, every time Will feels that cold prickle on his neck, every time his eyes glaze over and he stares into nothing, we're not just watching a scared kid. We're watching the consequences of that first operation still echoing through his body and through the entire story. While Vecna is busy operating in the dark, Hawkins is waking up to a brand new kind of nightmare. On the surface, it almost looks normal. Robin is hosting her morning show on WSQK. Steve is half asleep in the booth. The music is upbeat. Cars are on the road. The DJ jokes that Hawkins is back on its feet. But step outside, and you can feel it. Hawkins is under occupation. The earthquake from Season 4 has been rebranded as a natural disaster. A 7.4 on the Richter scale. Nothing to see here. The glowing spores floating in the air? Just weird spring snow, according to the official story. The truth is much worse. The government has sealed the town. Roadblocks, soldiers, fences, concrete barriers, huge metal plates bolted over the places where reality actually tore open. They look like giant band-aids hammered into the earth. And underneath all of that, the old tunnel system is still there. Those tunnels used to be the living veins of the Upside Down. Now they're hollowed out, dry, cracked, dead. The kids use them anyway. They crawl through those dead veins to move around Hawkins in secret. From the radio station, to the junkyard where 11 once trained, to Hopper's cabin, all the way toward downtown. It's the perfect image for Season 5. Hawkins isn't just sitting on top of the Upside Down anymore. The town is literally walking through the corpse of a monster it already killed once. So why does the show spend so much time on roadblocks, fences, and dead tunnels, instead of just jumping straight to monster fights? Because the setting is the horror. Meanwhile, on the surface, the group has run more than 30 missions they call the crawls. Every crawl is a risky trip into the Military Access Control Zone, MAC-Z, trying to catch any sign of Vecna. Hopper slips in and out of the Upside Down whenever the Army opens the gate for trucks. 11 dives into the void again and again, searching for Vecna's presence, and finds nothing. Not because he's weak, not because he's gone, but because he's chosen a hiding place that even her reach cannot touch. By the end of this phase, the message is clear. Hawkins is no longer a sleepy, cursed town. It's an occupied territory, sitting on top of a dead monster, while a living one waits just out of range. And remember, all of this is happening while the rest of the world moves on. To everyone outside those fences, Hawkins is just a tragic news story from a few years ago, a headline they scrolled past, a town they'll never visit. But inside those lines of barbed wire, people are literally commuting to work on top of a dead dimension, dodging soldiers, hiding secrets, and pretending this is still normal life. The longer that lie stretches, the more pressure builds, and the more explosive the truth will be when it finally breaks. And if Vecna rules the shadows, there's someone else trying to rule everything else. The show zooms out and introduces the other big villain of Season 5. Not a creature, a human. Dr. K. The Army has built a fortress around the main tear between worlds. They call it MAC-Z. It's the official gate into the Upside Down now. Jeep convoys roll through, helicopters land, container trucks pass in and out, floodlights slice through the mist. It feels less like a secret lab and more like a frontline military outpost. On the other side, inside the Upside Down itself, they've built something even crazier. Gable Ridge Road Base. Picture it. A clean, white military compound dropped into that rotten red sky. Barracks, labs, landing pads, floodlights shoved into a world that was never meant to see that kind of light. Inside the labs, scientists study new species pulled from the Upside Down, tentacled creatures floating in tanks, strange fungal growths sealed in glass, dark, egg-like clusters wired into machines and monitors. They're not just defending our world anymore. They're mining the other one. The Special Forces unit enforcing all of this is called Wolfpack. They answer to Lieutenant Akers, who answers to Colonel Sullivan. Their mission? Hunt down 11. Their favorite tool is Hedgehog, a brutal sonic weapon that rips through the senses of psychic targets. Mounted on trucks, on choppers, maybe even hidden inside the base itself. And above all of them sits Dr. K, a 2-star general, calm, cold, controlled. If Dr. Brenner was a twisted scientist father, half obsessed with discovery and half attached to 11 as his daughter, Dr. K is the opposite. She doesn't care about 11's feelings. She doesn't want to understand the Upside Down. She wants tools. She wants weapons. She wants results. In a messed up way, she's Vecna's mirror. He treats people like batteries. She treats an entire dimension like a weapons catalog. To her, 11 isn't a child. She's an asset. The Upside Down isn't a mystery. It's a stockpile. So while Vecna is using that dimension as his personal hunting ground, The US military is cutting it open on stainless steel tables. The horror of Season 5 isn't one-sided anymore. It's not just monsters versus humans. It's monsters turning people into batteries, and people turning monsters into ammunition. Because the second humans start treating a living, hostile dimension like a weapons factory, you know it's only a matter of time before it pushes back. Maybe not today. Maybe not in Episode 1. But you can feel it brewing under every clean hallway and polished floor inside Gable Ridge. Every time a scientist taps on the glass of some writhing thing they barely understand, you get the sense that the Upside Down is studying them right back. And when that rubber band finally snaps, it won't just be monsters coming through the gate. It'll be the consequences of every experiment they tried to control. And while all of that is happening, Vecna is quietly upgrading his hunting strategy. In Season 4, he targeted teens through their trauma, dragging them into nightmare visions and snapping them from the inside out. In Season 5, he goes younger, smarter, and somehow even creepier. Enter Mr. Whatsit. To the elementary school kids of Hawkins, Mr. Whatsit looks like a friendly grown-up. Warm brown suit, soft voice, a mix between a children's TV host and a substitute teacher. If you look closely, his outfit echoes Dr. Brenner's old look. It's like Henry has taken pieces of his own past and stitched them into a costume. Holly Wheeler has been seeing Mr. Whatsit for a while. She talks to him, draws pictures of him, acts strange enough that her teacher calls Karen in for a meeting. And Holly isn't the only one. Slowly, we realize Mr. Whatsit is how Vecna walks in the daylight. He doesn't need to wait for sleep anymore. He can step into their world as a harmless imaginary friend, softening them up long before he ever drags them into the mindscape. At the same time, something very old wakes up inside Will. That twinge at the back of his neck, the one from Seasons 2 and 3, comes back. But this time, it goes further. Will doesn't just sense the presence of the Upside Down. He tunes into it. He catches flashes of Henry inside Holly's head. He sees through the eyes of a Demogorgon ripping through soldiers. He feels the Hive Mind like a radio picking up a station it was never meant to hear. That connection Vecna installed in the library, it never went away. Season 5 is turning that connection into a two-way street. Vecna can use it to watch, stalk, and hunt. But Will might be able to use it to spy back. And that puts Will in a position we've never really seen before. He's not just the boy who needs saving. He's not just the guy who can feel Vecna. He might become the one character who can reach into the Hive Mind on purpose, the one who can walk that razor-thin line between using the connection and being swallowed by it. If he leans too far one way, he becomes a spy, a weapon for his friends. If he leans too far the other way, he becomes exactly what Vecna wanted him to be back in that library. Another piece on the board, another voice in the dark. And the crawl is just the first hint. The show is clearly setting Will up for something huge in the episodes we haven't seen yet. So by the time Episode 1, The Crawl, fades to black, it's done 3 huge things. It reframes Will's time in the library as Vecna's first major operation. It turns Hawkins into an occupied war zone, built on the corpse of the old tunnels. And it shows us a new hunting pattern, Mr. Whatsit and the kids, while reactivating Will's link to the Hive Mind. So the real question going into the rest of Season 5 isn't just, can our heroes win? It's this: if the army is carving up the Upside Down from one side, and Vecna is grooming a new generation of victims from the other, where will Will Byers stand when the final battle begins?
Drop your answer below.
If you caught any clues I missed in Episode 1, The Crawl, throw them in the comments. And if you want more deep dives like this, stay with Vecna Watch. Hit like, subscribe, and we'll keep hunting Vecna together.